Okay. All right, guys. And our next topic is watching competition practice. Why is it crucial and how does it work? So, in the previous episodes, we discussed how important it is to watch practice for the more accuracy of your scoring later on, for preventing the negative surprises. What would you say about watching practice in street? Why is it important? Why is it crucial? How does it work in street? So who
We
wants
need
to
to
take on this
watch.
one? Steph?
Yeah, we need to watch the practice just to start to get the runs together of every skater. Because once a skater just picks his run, he's pretty much going to do the same run for like the whole event, and that helps us to like score even faster because we're already taking notes of the runs that the skaters are trying to do. And so when the competition starts, then it helps us to like get the scores even faster.
Okay. So
So
it's not,
every athlete, every skateboarder's score is important. And during practice, there are heats allotted for, you know, a certain amount of skateboarders for that time duration. And every heat counts. We're not just there to watch like whatever, you know, you're preceded or whatever you want to say, you know, every single skateboarder there is equally important. And watching all practices, however time consuming, however long the days are, like that is a huge part of the work that we do as judges, because it is our job to rank and score every skateboarder fairly. And that being there for all heats can only contribute to a better, more accurate evaluation, impression, and score. So there's no favoritism here. This is, you know, we're here for a job. We're judging skateboarding fairly, and we're not picking favorites on heats and stuff like that. You know, granted, sure, as skateboarders, we're like, we can't wait till that heat cup, you know what I mean? But like, we are definitely there with the mentality of every person involved matters. And no one overrides another or supersedes another. This is just more content for you to apply when it comes to competition. And you know, everyone is there. They have worked hard. They really want, you know, to showcase, you know, all their hard work, and they should be judged accordingly. They should be judged fairly accordingly.
okay. I have a
Yeah.
question.
And I would chime in real quick on what both Vanessa and Steph said, like why it is so important. It's for the judges to also get a pretty good gauge of the level of skateboarding from every single athlete and every single skater that's going to skate. So that helps to eliminate maybe the surprise, the wow factor, and be more level-headed on how everyone is scored and ranked fairly. Of course, there's always like exceptions where people pull out moves that they've never done before, tricks that they've never done before in the finals or semifinals, and it's amazing and we love to see it. But as much practice as we're able to absorb and really like talk about as a judging panel will help us to be more aligned during contest time.
Yeah.
Okay. The question that I had was, and this is something that we discussed in the previous episodes, is I was the judge, right? The one that is like, why would I have to go? Because at many sanctioned events, especially on the international and the global ones, the practice takes a couple days. And some of the aspiring judges, some of the viewers that are watching us, they might ask like, why would I have to go there for all the days when I just can come for the last day, see it all, and, you know, and be all right with it?
Yeah, I got invited. That's all that matters. I don't need to do all the other work.
I just be myself. I don't need to do anything else.
Preparation is key, and it's our job to give as much every single skater that skates a fair ranking and a fair score, and every skater is of equal importance to the judging panel.
Okay.
Yeah,
and,
otherwise you would not be impartial. You would not be impartial, and you are, there
I think
once
it would
again the
be kinda
favoritism and
like
everything like that.
out of
Mm.
space if you didn't watch it before, because you would be like, oh wow. And what I wanted to ask you guys is because and I wanted to know if this is the same case in street discipline, like in park. We discussed that the athletes, they are working on their lines, they are working on their tricks, and sometimes the first day they trying to find the line, then the next day they trying to work on certain tricks to get the feel of them, then the next day they working on connecting some of the tricks. Now my question, and I think you already feel where I'm going with that one, is like, when we have the format of the street competition, when you have the runs and the tricks, I assume, as being the aspiring judge, that I think the street skaters, they must do the same. You cannot just come up with the thing.
It is, yes,
don't
it
wake
definitely
up-
reflects park as well. They're all out there working hard, and sometimes first practice days is just getting a feel of the course and rolling around and building up their confidence. And mentally, a lot of people, a lot of athletes, mentally strategize, and they kind of roll around, they pop, just some basic ollies and stuff, and they fill the course out. And I feel like typically what we see is skateboarders going out and feeling out the course. And then, you know what I mean? Maybe doing a couple tricks here and there. It doesn't get too crazy. Sometimes it does. I mean, we've seen it, but people get excited and they're just like, oh, this course is sick. You know what I mean? Or it takes others a little bit longer to adjust and figure, and adapt to the course and figure out where their strong suits lie in that. And so once again, evolution, progression, like that also happens in practice. So this is happening daily, or heats are happening daily. So what you saw earlier in the day could play out, progress, and, in another heat that's allotted to them. And so, yeah, you're constantly refreshing because the skateboarding is constantly getting better leading up to the event. So same with park is like, yeah, all riders are going out. They're like, okay, I have this arsenal of tricks. Like maybe I can do this here. And I can do that. You know what I mean? It's just finding what's comfortable for them. And then that's when all the piecing comes together. And that just happens over time. Could happen in their first heat. Who knows? We've seen it. But typically it's more of like a visually strategizing what's going to play in their favor. And then they start figuring out what tricks they're going to do. And so that progresses over, allotted practice.
And we're, as the judging panel, we're discussing it as we're watching it live too. And we'll even say things like, hey, if they do that in their run, do you think it would be better than what we saw this person doing earlier? And it kind of gives us a perspective of where we might rank from just visually what we've seen that day, maybe even practice, like when it comes to the actual competition. And those things have already been discussed, and it makes our job easier, when it comes to the actual contest time.
The hypotheticals, the potentials,
Exactly.
and the, closing the window for surprises as well. Just having, skateboarding common sense and being like, you typically would know some of the skateboarders out there, like, and what they're capable of. Whether you see it or not that day, obviously when you judge an event, you're judging what the skateboarding that you're seeing in front of you that day. Not like, oh, but he could have done this, or you know what I mean? It's like, if you skate terrible today, your scores will reflect that. It's not what, we all know what everybody's capable of, but there's a set of rules set in place, and we have a job to do, and they apply to everybody. So
I'm glad that you said this as well, because one of the key important things on sanctioned event, especially on the international and the global tier, is that they are being televised. There are time limits for everything. And I always say this quote that judging panel is not a parliament. And discussions about what could have, should have, or it's, might have been done when it's time to score are not the way to go. And the practice should be the time where the judging panel gets aligned, discuss these things, discuss all these eventualities and the potential options of athletes' performances or the tricks, and get their head and get their opinions and pre-evaluations together. As a skater, I would just add, sometimes you don't wake up like skating 15-stair rails and you just do some other things. So if a judge missed that day, he might get a wrong impression. So
Sure.
for all the aspiring judges, when you are at the event, invited as a judge, do your job and watch the practice. You are paying respect to the athletes by watching them and doing them justice during the event.
Also
Agreed.
your colleagues. So yeah, it's your team, so
Of
yeah.
course.
You owe it to every skater that's there, and you owe it to the rest of your colleagues up in the judging booth
Yeah.
to be prepared and do your homework and be ready for the job at hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that makes the whole contest a lot easier for judges to watch practice
Perfect.
already.
Pro tips.
Perfect. I guess listen and learn, guys. These are some important advices and tips from our host today. And thank you for that, guys. And let's move to the next topic.